What's up, everybody? Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor. I am in Long Beach, California for the Legion Muscle Fest. Sorry about that. Legion Sports Fest. And have a little bit of time here. I'm going to hit the local Gold's Gym soon, but I do have some time. I want to get to any questions you guys had. Any questions you guys have, please hit me up. Going to be a great show tomorrow. I'm sorry, the show is until Sunday. And I did a little preview of it. Ron, what's good? Well, that's not a question. Give me a question, guys. 212 division, looking like it's going to be a real battle. Bob versus Dave. Question, I'm going to be having surgery for hernia a couple weeks. What will be the recovery time and is training after that difficult? Why are you a cookie cutter, Lenny? That's the way God made me, Lenny. Hernia, I never had hernia surgery. My wife had it. A lot of people I know have had hernia surgery. I know someone who just had it a few months ago, and I've trained with them a few times. So you do need to take it easy after hernia. You can't train for a couple weeks, but then you get right into it, easing back in, gradually getting back. Come on, Ron, get the drama train. Yeah, Mayor, Dan Dillon. Generally speaking, if you ease back into it, from everyone I've seen and known with a hernia, it takes about 2-3 months to get right back to where you were before the hernia, as far as the weights and all that stuff, intensity. You are able to train again, and it doesn't affect you after that once you've had it repaired. I do have a little hernia. It doesn't hurt though, but I woke up I think it was Arnold in 2018. I woke up one morning and I had a bump. It was in Columbus. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what I did. I'm assuming whatever injury it was didn't happen at the Arnold. I wasn't doing anything strenuous, believe me. How do you know if you got the genetics to go pro? Genetics to go pro. That's a good question. How do you know if you have the genetics to go pro? I'm actually going to take this over to the chair because I'm not going to hold this up forever. The genetics to turn pro. All the divisions are basically looking for variations of the same thing. You need to have, the first thing is a bone structure. You need to have wide shoulders, narrow hips. Doesn't matter if it's bodybuilding, classic, men's physique, all the women's divisions, the same thing. You need wider shoulders and a smaller waist. They're looking for an X frame. We used to say V taper, but that doesn't count. That doesn't include the legs. So X frame would be wide shoulders, narrow hips, and then flaring quads. The size obviously would differ. Other things to look for if you have the Figure Pro. No, I haven't seen her yet. Other things you need in place genetically to turn pro, you do need a certain quality to the muscle. You'll notice people that end up being pros, from the first few months of them training, most of them take on a different look than average people. They look different. Their muscles have a better shape, rounder, fuller, prettier. They don't just look like other people at the gym. Something about them stands out even after they've only been training for a few months. And after a year or two, if they're not already a pro by then, it's very apparent to anyone who sees them that Muscular Women's World, I did coach Miguel. Yeah, Mayor, that's true. Not all pros build muscle easily, but they do build it a lot easier than the average person. Some of them have built it tremendously easy. I think Dennis James talked about the first month he was training back when he was a teenager. He was putting on a pound a day. So he put on 30 pounds. He claimed it was all muscle, 30 pounds of muscle his first 30 days of training. And I don't think any gear was involved at that point. These people, most of the ones who have the genetics to turn pro, they would look really good without gear. And then you put the gear in, they look even better. Favorite pro wrestler of all time? Okay, I'm going to go with Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. I used to watch Texas wrestling back in the day, back in the 80s. And, it was before WWF got really huge. It was starting to get there. It was well on its way. It was almost there. But Texas wrestling peaked around then with the Von Erich brothers when they were all still alive. It was just David, who's the first one to die, Kerry, Kevin. Man, they were great. Kerry was my favorite, though, because he was jacked. He had this huge jaw. He looked like a rock star. He had the rock star hair. I wanted to be Kerry Von Erich. And a girl I had a huge crush on, she was in love with Kerry Von Erich. So I wanted to be Kerry Von Erich. As far as I'm going to drink my coffee. I hope you guys don't mind. As far as the Bob and Dave thing, I guess Bob's going to go on Dave's show. Where is Giles? Giles is in the UK. We're switching producers. We're going to have a new studio for Global Muscle. We're not going to call it Global Muscle Radio anymore because it is mainly known now for the videos. It's a podcast, but it's filmed just like the Joe Rogan podcast is filmed. And it turns out a lot more people end up watching it on video than see that. Do you think it's possible to compete and hold down a full-time job? Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely. 95%, I'm going to guess, of the people who compete, and even pros, at least 90% of pros have a job, because this isn't like the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball where you're paid millions and millions of dollars just to do your sport. The majority of bodybuilders have to work, even pros. Bodybuilding reminds me of high school. Absolutely, it does. Dan Dillon, the mayor of bodybuilding, everybody. Yeah, a lot of them are trainers, because training people is, you're already in the gym. It's flexible. You can eat your meals when you need to. You know, you're already there. You can get your workouts in. It's not like, oh shit, I gotta get to the gym after work. You're already at the gym. She needs more size, coach. I'm sorry I'm not responding because I don't know this person you're talking about, but I'll see her on Sunday. The show I'm at, Legion Sports Fest, it's one of those Sunday shows. It's all day Sunday, all day and night Sunday. Tomorrow's just the expo. I haven't even walked over there to see the expo hall, the Long Beach Convention Center. Looks pretty huge though. But yeah, bodybuilders need to work, most of them, because they might have supplement contracts, they might have contracts, but typically it's only a few bodybuilders are paid enough from those contracts and from prize winnings to make a living off of, particularly if they've got, you know, a wife or a girlfriend and kids to support. Do you have any updates on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Athleticon? Thoughts on gaining muscle with tall frame, ectomorph, staying natty? HGH protocol, I'm going to go with the tall question because I'm not an expert on HGH at all. I don't use HGH. If I could get a deal with some company, anybody listening, if I could get a deal with one of these anti-aging companies, sponsor me with HGH. Otherwise, I'm just not going to spend the money. I have a son in college and I'm paying his tuition. I know I've said this a few times. I'm paying all his expenses. So he's not gonna leave college with this mountain of debt, like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, like so many of these poor young people now. They're graduating college in major debt. Where do I work out? I work out at Bayshore Athletic Club, Braintree, Massachusetts, next to the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Awesome gym. We have a few pros there. We've had a few pros from out of town recently there, and they all love the place. John Meadows worked out there last month. Who else was there? Brandon Hendrickson, the Olympia physique champ from 2018. He was there for a few days last month as well. All right, let me get back to the question about 6'5", wants to stay natty and wants to make gains. It's not going to be easy. Obviously, you know that. Your arms and legs, especially, they're very long. You know, we say bodybuilding is easier for shorter people. In a sense, it is, because we don't have that much limb to fill out as a taller person would. So, you know, I used to be 5'8.5" in my prime. I'm shrinking. Do I think most open bodybuilders run GH? Absolutely. If not all of them. Most, if not all, absolutely run GH. Don't ask me how much. I can only guess, but it's part of everybody's protocol. Absolutely. So if you're 6'5" and you're natural, you're gonna have to eat a lot of damn food, man. A lot of damn food, because you're an ectomorph. You have a high metabolism. You know, someone like me, I'm down to 5'7 3/4. I'm gonna have a physical. Maybe I'm even shorter than that now. But if someone like my height, someone 5'7", 5'8", gains 10 pounds, it looks a lot more. It's a more significant gain than someone who's 6'5". They would need to gain. Yeah, do they all use insulin? Most use insulin, not all of them. I have spoken to a bunch of them that do not like insulin, but a lot of them use insulin. So again, 6'5", natty ectomorph. You're gonna have to eat a lot of food. You're gonna have to train yourself. It's not gonna be something immediately you're gonna be able to go from eating 2,000 calories a day to 5,000 or 6,000. You're gonna have to build on it gradually, just the way you do with the weights. Eat a little bit more every day, and eventually your body's gonna get accustomed to more food. I would stick to as many basic compound free weight movements as you can. You know, I know it's not easy. I know squats and deads are not easy. I can only imagine. I did train with a guy, you probably know him, the Goon. I trained with Chris Griffin, who's 6'5", We trained together for a good 4 years, I believe, until our schedules didn't match up anymore. But, you know, I saw how tough it was for him to make gains at 6'5". You do have to really just push the weights. You know, you can't just do single reps. You have to do time under tension. I say that all the time to everybody. These 1, 2, 3 rep sets, I don't think they're that effective. Did I find interviewing Kai a difficult process? I did, because, yeah, I wanted Kai to answer the questions I was asking, and I was hoping he would answer them in a direct way. But Kai does what Kai wants to do. Kai's gonna answer questions the way he wants to. Anyone that's interviewed him, you'll see the same pattern. That's just Kai. That's his personality. He likes to talk about vision and self-improvement and a lot of things that are very important to him, and that he feels have really shaped his success in bodybuilding and beyond in the businesses he's in now. Have I ever used a chiropractor? I haven't been going to chiropractor in the past, I'd say 2 years. I stopped going, but I went to the chiropractor for 25, from age 21 till I'm 50, so well over about 25 years. And at one point, for a full year, to try to correct some weird curvature in my neck, I was going to the chiropractor 3 times a week for a full year. So we did x-rays at the end of that year, and there was only a slight improvement. So I was like, meh. I do believe you should see a chiropractor once a month just to get adjusted. I know a lot of people don't believe in chiropractic. I do think the spine gets out of alignment, and it's pretty hard to adjust yourself. Any steroids or peptides for knee ACL surgery recovery? Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, guys, for not being a drug expert. I know a little bit about drugs. I don't know a lot. I don't really feel I know enough to be giving advice on it. Old Ironman. Jeremy, I was one of the first Bibles. Yeah, I was in Ironman in the 90s, man. So, yeah, you must be pretty old, too. Kai's working out regularly with Pauline Norton? Is that who you're talking about? Or the Pauline you were just talking about? BPC 150, I don't know what that is. But let me just wrap up that 6'5" ectomorph. You're going to have anyone who's that tall and ectomorphic, and especially if you don't have the benefit of steroids to help you build muscle. Yeah, I don't know Pauline Nelson, I'm sorry. You are going to have to eat a lot more food than you want to eat. You're going to have to get plenty of rest. You're going to have to work very hard on the basics. You're going to have to be careful about overtraining. I don't think overtraining is as common or as dangerous as most people think it is, because I don't think most people are going to be in the gym for 3-4 hours every day, overdoing it. Of course, that does happen. A lot of people are enthusiastic and they want to rush the gains, which you really can't, especially naturally. So you always want to be on top of your recovery. You shouldn't be training muscles when they're sore. You shouldn't be training, for more than an hour and a half at the very most, and that's like back or legs. If you're still in the gym 2 hours after you walked out onto the workout floor and started your workout, you've been there too long. So either you're resting way too long between sets or you're just doing too much. Rodent is not being his issue. Yeah, the rodent thing, thanks, Jeremy, for all the questions. The rodent situation, it seems to me, and I'm not speaking for the IFBB, I'm not speaking for anyone, but what it looks like to me is until his case either is thrown out, which happens a lot in these cases due to lack of evidence or whatever. A lot of times these cases get thrown out before they go to trial, like right before the trial even starts. Or if he's found innocent, not guilty, then he's going to be fully reinstated and back in. Good pre-workout breakfast. You don't want something too heavy that's going to really sit in your gut. Like, I wouldn't have like a pizza or, ribs, or I wouldn't even have like a steak and potato. I would save those for later meals. My pre-workout meal is, because I train in the morning, it's 4 whole eggs, bowl of oatmeal and blueberries, cup of coffee with a little protein shake in there for flavor. By the time I get to the gym, red pills with Ron. The red pill he's referring to is it's a phrase used in the MGTOW movement. It's a different perspective. Coach Greg Adams, I'm going to give him a shout out. I'd actually like to interview Greg. I just don't think I can justify it for muscular development. I don't think I can sort of make it relate to anything bodybuilding at all. I'd still think he'd be a cool guy to interview. Coach Greg Adams. Anabolic ducks. Oh, I'm sorry. The anabolic doc went to Alabama to visit his daughter in college, so we didn't do an episode. Usually I'm home in Boston, Stoughton, and he's in either his Connecticut office or he has another office in Florida he goes to once a month, but we didn't do it. Red pill. PD red pilled me. I say goodbye, Ron. Great show. All right, goodbye, Muscular Women's World. I'll be looking out for Pauline. Do I still keep tabs on Genova? No, I don't. I haven't heard a lot about Jason recently. Jason was, he had his 15 minutes that lasted a few years. I mean, he had a great run as far as his popularity. Everybody knew who he was. I think everybody still knows who he was. But the shtick, he kind of did the same things over and over, where he'd say he was going to do a show, and he'd say he was dieting, and he was still fat. And, anyone who follows Jason knows the same patterns. We saw the same things happen over and over again. And unfortunately, people got bored. His page on No Bull is still going strong. I wouldn't say it's going strong, because people used to post there constantly, and I see posts very rarely. What do I think about high protein diets in off season, like Dante Trudel, DC, over 2 grams per pound? So if you're a 200 pound man, that would be over 400 grams a day. I've been doing that for years and years. So I am an advocate. Do I know for certain that I need that much protein, or that anybody needs 2 grams of protein per body weight or more? I don't know. There's been no studies that I'm aware of. This is all anecdotal. There's never been any studies that I'm aware of that takes bodybuilders, because most of these studies that we hear about, they either use untrained subjects or they're at university, so they just take college kids from the college gym or whatever. And it's not the best way to compare how it would apply to advanced bodybuilders. Why do I think Henry's getting shafted? Oh, more, too many questions. Why is Dave Henry getting shafted? I don't know. I don't know if he's getting shafted. I would have placed him a lot higher than 11th at the Olympia for sure, though. He's going to have his hands full. You would eat forever? No, you know what? 2 grams per pound. I do it. I've been doing it every day since I was like 21. Yeah, so it's not that hard. I mean, if you figure you're going to have, I do 5 meals a day, 5 solid meals and a shake. Plus I have a shake in the refrigerator that when I wake up to go to the bathroom at like 2 or 3 in the morning, I'll drink some of that. I don't really keep tabs on how many grams, but looked overall best at Scott. I'll get to you in a second, Scott Hollywood Hagen. You beat me, you bastard. So if you divide that, so I'm getting about a little over 50 grams, 55. If I get 55 grams a day, 55 grams per serving, and that comes out to like 6 over, that's right around 400. I know my math is a little shaky at times, but yeah, I don't think anyone needs more than 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That's a lot, because if you're a 200 pound guy, that's 400 grams. Even if you're a 180 pound guy, that's 360 grams. That's a lot of protein to have every day, day after day. Hard training bodybuilders, I believe we utilize most of it. Doc O'Connor, if you have a question for the O'Connor show, you please leave it somewhere else, because I'm not going to remember it from here. Message me or something. I don't know. We have questions for the anabolic doc, but I'm not going to remember that thing that just flashed up on the screen. So Scott Hagen just asked a question, because Scott beat me at the 2005 New England in the heavyweights. To Asha. God, Jeremy, you got one question at a time, Jeremy. Wait till I finish one question. I think I looked my best either at that contest. I put a picture up with blonde hair a lot of time, 2002 New England. So that was a show I looked probably that was one of my best looks for sure. 2011 Team U, I was 208 pounds. I took second in the open heavyweight. I like that look a lot. Vertical leg, because people freak out with a vertical leg press. They think it's gonna crush them. Vertical leg press. Yeah, I wish more gyms had those. The last gym that I trained at that had one was the World Gym in Pasadena, California, which is now Gold's Gym. I haven't been there in many years, so I don't even know if they have that machine anymore. But that's how long it's been since I trained at a gym that had one of those. I love the feel of those, but they are scary looking because you have the weight directly over you, the platform directly over you. If you if you drop it, they have safety stops and everything. You're not really going to get hurt. Your university gym, well, that's a great university gym. Yeah, I think they're good because you can't really load a ton of weight on, which to me is one of the pitfalls of that angled leg press that everyone uses. You can load a ton of weight on there and just barely move it. The angle of a vertical leg press, it forces you to use a better range of motion, and you can't go that heavy. 4 benches. Well, I don't know how many kids are trying to. My son goes to UMass Amherst, and I haven't seen the gym yet. Jeez. I saw the UMaine gym that he went to last year, but he says it's always crowded. He always has to wait for machines, which is rough because that gym, that school has a student body of something like 80,000 kids. Georgia Tech. Well, there you go. How have I kept from being jaded about bodybuilding? Yeah, I don't bench much, so it doesn't bother me. I don't barbell bench press at all. I haven't done that since I was a kid. I used dumbbells, hammer strength machines, incline barbell press, Smith machine, a lot of dumbbells, and a lot of hammer strength. If people ever ask me, because one of the body parts that did grow very well for me was chest, people always ask me, how much you bench, and I tell them I didn't bench. But I would say dumbbells from most people seem to give better results than the barbell. They force you to work harder. They force you to be just as strong on one side as the other. You can't cheat. You can't compensate with another side. I always got better contractions with the dumbbell. The barbell works very well for a lot of people. So by all means, if it works great for you, keep doing it. Never worked that well for me. Australia, we just use Smith machine on it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of women do that. Use the Smith machine as a vertical leg press. That looks really scary to me. I mean, it's just your foot. If your foot slips, maybe if you got some shoe with a heel and you can wedge it in the bar, but man, that looks precarious to me. Yeah. What's another question? Someone asked a question about my gear use. I'm not really going to talk about that. Sorry. Geez, did I cover it? Thanks for the great content. Road cyclist took a microdose and Nantate for 12 weeks. Is there any way to use it without putting on any weight at all? I don't think you can use test and Nantate and not put weight on. If you use a moderate amount, I think you're still going to put a few pounds on. These questions are disappearing so fast, I don't even see them. But yeah, most steroids you're going to. Yeah, I heard about Palumbo and Bob Check, absolutely. But most steroids are going to cause some level of weight gain, no matter what. There are certain drugs people use that are not, the ones that don't make you hold water, Anavar, halotestin, some of those, you won't gain as much weight. The ones that make you hold a lot of water, Deca, Anadrol, D-ball, you're gonna gain weight. It's gonna be a lot of water weight, but you will gain a lot of weight on those. Yeah, the Palumbo Bob Chick thing. My LDL and cholesterol levels, I don't want to say because I haven't had it checked in almost a year. No. It was back in spring. I'm actually due for my physical on the 20th. I'm going to get it all worked up again, and that's when I'll know. The average TRT in America, you get 250 every 2 weeks in Australia. In America, the average is 100 to 250 a week. I've never spoken to anyone who's getting less than 100, and I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone who's legitimately from a doctor being prescribed more than 250 a week. Was Ronnie Coleman or Dorian Yates more freaky in person? I go with Ronnie. Yeah. Believe me, Dorian was a monster too. I saw Dorian up close at his biggest. I saw Ronnie at his biggest in person right next to you was just like, shh. You couldn't believe you were looking at a real human being because the muscle it was just like jumping off of his damn bones and hanging. It was so much thick muscle. Cycle for cutting? I don't think, I know obviously when people are prepping, they use a lot more and different drugs than they do for bulking, but it's really the diet. Putting the barbell on their hip, yeah, they like that exercise. The freakiest genetic race besides blacks? Well, race, I guess what are there only 3 races? 3 main races, as we say, or 3 racial, you could divide people into black, white, and Asian, I guess, but there's a lot of things in between. And then you got How big can you get training natural? That really depends on your genetics. I've seen some guys get pretty damn big naturally. Most of them don't get lean. When they try to get lean, they lose a lot of that because, oh yeah, natural training is very different than training on gear. Very, very different. I've trained for many years both ways, so I can tell you it's very different. It's all pink on the inside. Jeez, where are we even? I got to stick to just one question at a time here. I lost my train of thought, guys. Give me one more question. One more question. I guess I'll do the natural versus gear. And what's that? I got big off lightweight. Natural, heavyweight hurts my... I don't know too many people that can get big off lightweights, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think you need to train like a power lifter per se, but you do need to get pretty strong to put the size on over the years. I mean, I would tell anybody, whether they're on drugs or not on drugs, if they're starting out, which hopefully you shouldn't be on drugs when you're starting out, but I know a lot of people do that. You know, you want to get stronger in the rep ranges for growth. So it's not about getting stronger for 1 or 2 reps. It's bench pressing for 10 reps. If you can bench press 200 pounds right now for 10 reps, and a year from now, you can bench press 300 or 350 pounds for 10 reps, I guarantee you your chest, your front delts, your triceps are all going to be bigger. Same thing with squat. If you can squat 225 for 10 reps right now, and a year from now, let's say 2 years from now, you can squat 500 pounds for 10 reps. Guarantee you your leg's going to be so much bigger. They had to adapt to that stress and that continued addition of the resistance. They were always being challenged and they had to keep up with it. I'll answer the race question last and then I'm going to go. Genetics, I've seen different genetic gifts for different races. I think for having a small waist and the round muscles, the African race, can we call it African? I'm not going to say black. I don't know. African American wouldn't count anybody outside of America. That racial group seems to have the advantage as far as putting on muscle and having smaller joints and a small waist. Skin isn't always the thinnest, though. They don't always get that thin-skinned look. And I remember Flex Wheeler, we were talking about this years ago one time, and that's what he noticed. He said that the real thin, paper-thin skin, you don't see that too often in black guys. You do see it, obviously. You know, none of these things apply to everybody. Like, there are very tall Asian men. There are very short black men. There are, you know, I have noticed Asians seem to have better leg development. I don't know why. In general, they do. They have better leg development, better quads, better calves, especially. I have no idea why. Couldn't tell you that. Does the white race, if there is a white race, there's so many ethnic groups and nationalities that you could argue about what's white, what's not white. I don't know what the rules are, if there are any rules. But you know, there are genetically gifted people in every ethnic and racial group, and there are people with terrible genetics. How some like Larry Wheel's legs are small compared to Larry. I would have to talk to Larry about it, but my guess is, because I've known guys who transitioned from powerlifting to bodybuilding, or tried to. Larry's doing it successfully, but a lot of them were squatting very, very heavy for years for low reps, so they got very, very strong. And anyone who knows about powerlifting, I barely know about it, but they will tell you it's not the quads that are doing most of the work in those 800, 900,000 pound squats. It's the lower back, it's the hips, it's the glutes, it's the hams. Quads are in there too, but it's not a pure, you know, they have a real wide stance with their legs. It's not the same as a bodybuilding squat where we try to really target the quads. And even then, we're still involving all those other muscle groups. But like I said, someone comes to bodybuilding from powerlifting, they've been doing, you know, they haven't been putting the muscle under tension for very long. So, you know, a lot of times they don't have the development. I distinctly remember that show I was talking about earlier where I felt I looked one of my best looks, 2002, New England. One of the guys in my class in the heavyweights, he was talking about he had squatted 800 or 900 pounds or something. He was a powerlifting champion. I think he had a couple national titles or some records or something. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy's legs must be, because I'm thinking, geez, by myself, without a spot, I had never done more than 450 for a couple reps. Nothing special, believe me, I know that. with a spot with people helping for, I've done 500, 600, 700 pounds, but how much were they lifting? It was like, so I don't count those. So anyway, long story short, we all take our sweats off and start pumping up, oiling up. And this guy's legs, I was like, oh my God, there was not much development, and there was absolutely no sweep to his thighs. His legs were, I'm going to say it, they were terrible. They were terrible. My legs they blew his legs away, made it look like he didn't even train legs. And this is a guy that squatted more than twice what I could squat. But I had done squats for 10 reps, 15 reps, 20 reps. I'd done hack squats, leg presses, lunges, leg extensions, all kinds of things. And drop sets, supersets, giant sets, a lot of things that would put my quads under tension. I do recognize that I was genetically gifted somewhat in the leg department, but if you look at my old pictures when I was starting out, my legs were freaking skinny. They did respond pretty quickly once I started training them, but they were nothing. Well, they were very thin when I started. But I do believe the key is time under tension with legs. You can't just do low reps for legs. They're never going to grow that way. Never. You have to put them under some tension. You have to get the lactic acid burn. You have to break down the muscle fibers. You need reps. You can do the lower rep set sometimes, 5, 6, 7, 8 reps, but you do need a lot more reps. Yes, legs they need more volume. We walk on them all the day. They take a beating. They can take a lot of work, and they need a lot of work. I know there are people that have done well with shorter, high-intensity routines for legs. Most people I know who have big legs, they trained them for a good 20 to 30 work sets at a pop. They didn't just do 4 or 5 work sets and call it a day, which that's a very brutal way to train. Don't get me wrong. I had Dorian Yates put me through a leg workout back in 2010. It was not a lot of work sets. We did a lot of warm-up sets. We did warm-up sets working up, but those didn't count. But still, it was brutal. My legs got very, very sore. But I don't know too many people that could do that on their own. You would really need someone like a Dorian to push you through workouts like that on a regular basis. I still train hard, but I don't think I train as hard as I used to. Legs particularly, there's no reason to. Why my legs they haven't lost anything. I'm 50 years old. I see other things starting to lose fullness and size. So that makes me not want to train my legs any harder than I do, because they're just if they grow, I'm gonna look more and more out of proportion. So I don't bother. Well, anyway, guys, I'm gonna go check out the local Gold's Gym here in Long Beach. I might do an Instagram live from there to show the cool equipment, because I suspect it's got some cool stuff. Maybe some of the competitors from the show are there. I'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Appreciate it very much. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell to notify when we put out new videos. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your viewership. Talk to you later.